Greetings, Commanders! Minnie here, welcome back to another episode of Elite Dangerous. Today we're going to be taking a look at Brew Tarquin, the engineer that deals with pulse laser upgrades. So, Mr. Brew Tarquin deals with pulse lasers, beam lasers, and burst lasers. Unfortunately, the highest upgrade go to the pulse lasers. Beam lasers and burst lasers can also be upgraded to level 4, and we'll be looking at those at a later date, but today we're just going to be focusing on the pulse lasers because they do go all the way up to level 5. So let's get docked and take a look at Mr. Brew Tarquin, what he needs to get unlocked, what he needs is his bullshit commodity, and how to unlock him. So how do you unlock Brew Tarquin? Well, you need to go through Liz Ryder, who deals with missile racks and torpedo pylons up to grade 4. Then you need to go to Heratani, who deals with power plants, and she will give you the invite for Brew Tarquin. You gained access to Brew Tarquin because you have a Pilots Federation combat ranking of competent or higher. And then the final one is you fulfilled your initial contract by providing 50 units of Fujin tea. Fujin tea can be, quite expectedly, founded in the Fujin system, or Fujin, or however you want to say it. I fail at English, get off of my back. It's about 154.59 light years away from Mr. Brew Tarquin's base. Luckily, there's only one station in the entire system, so it's pretty easy to find. Futin Spaceport is where you can find your Fujin tea. Now remember, he needs 50 units, and it's kind of one of those limited commodities, so you might have to make about 4 to 5 trips total back and forth to get all the tea to him. But once you're done with that, you are ready for level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 grade access. So once again, we're going to be blasting through the lightweight mount upgrades because those are the easiest one to get materials for. Unfortunately, normally, you need phosphorus. I used the last of it to refuel my SRV while I was off getting technetium, which is a pain in the ass, by the way, and it took me like 2 days to get the amount that I needed for this because I am crazy and ridiculous and awesome. But some of the other things can be used, so I would use iron, but I have a little bit of sulfur, so I'm going to use that and throw 3 of these at him. But since we're not going to do that right now, what we're actually going to do is go over what you need for, where is it, lightweight, all the way to grade 4, because that's all you need. 3-1, 3-2, 3-3, and 3-4, and then you're at grade 5. So, 3 units of phosphorus, 3 units of salvage alloys, 3 units of manganese, and 3 units of CMM composite. Salvage alloys, once again, blowing up combat ships. Manganese, planet surfaces. Quite a few planets drop manganese, and I got manganese from the same planet that I got my technetium. Don't worry about it, we'll be covering everything. After that, salvage alloys, and once again, manganese, and then conductive ceramics. Conductive ceramics I got from a anarchy system under outbreak conditions, convoy beacons, blowing up Type 9s left and right. It's a great stress reliever, it's fantastic. After that, lightweight grade 4, conductive components. Hey, you know what? Guess what? Hauling ships. Once again, anarchy system, outbreak conditions, convoy beacon. Next is phase alloys and protolite alloys. My favorite place for this is going to a hazardous resource extraction site. Imperial clippers drop these. Let's see what else. Anacondas, pythons, vultures, federal assault ships, federal drop ships, and federal gunships drop these from my experience. Imperial and federal ships, basically. Which is almost everything, kind of, sort of, isn't it? Yes. Anyway, blow shit up, find your phase alloys and your protolite alloys, and then go to Aska for your magnetic emitter coils, and I believe the Fong Guang system for CMM composite. So I'm going to run through these upgrades as per usual, so pardon me, we'll be back in a moment. Okay, so the first thing we're actually going to be looking at, but not upgrading, is the overcharged weapon. Now, the damage per second increases by 68%, the damage increases by 35%, you get a potential bonus of 50% distributor draw and a 25% rate of fire. Keep in mind, distributor draw means more power being sucked away from your capacitor. And I can kind of get that the damage per second being increased because of the slight increase of rate of fire and the overall damage per hit being increased. But if you actually look at the rapid fire modification level 5, watch the damage per second, almost identical. And the nice thing about this is you also get a bonus to rate of fire, which means you're firing faster. You get a 50% decrease to distributor draw with a really good roll, and you get armor piercing. Now, the downside is that you might lose a tiny bit of damage, and that accounts for that. Instead of the 68% bonus from the damage per second from the overcharge mount, you lose a little bit of overall damage, and that is taken into account with the overall damage bonus. But keep in mind, you can get secondary effects that can bump this back up and potentially make it better than an overcharge. And another reason I'm taking rapid fire versus overcharge is because of the decreased distributor draw. That is a huge bonus. I have to deal with a little bit of extra jitter, but if that's it, I'm completely willing to deal with that. So let's go ahead and preview outcome and see what we get. I'm only going to be upgrading one of these that'll be showing on the footage, and then after that I'm going to be upgrading all the other ones that I need for all my other ships. Sound good? Sound good. Let's do it. Not bad, not bad. Ooh, further decrease in distributor draw. I like that. That's going to be very efficient. Now, I'm very tempted to take this roll, but I'm going to apply it and try to upgrade it further. Then I will add my experimental effects. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to go over the frickin' materials you need for this. Okay, so let's go over this. Precipitated alloys drop from combat ships. Now, I generally get a lot of these from just combat in hazardous resource extraction sites, so you can get your precipitated alloys, your protolite alloys, and your phase alloys all in the same place. Configurable components you can get from hauling ships, so that's once again Anarchy System outbreak conditions, and looking for convoy beacons. Now, technetium. Technetium is a pain in the booty, but I have a planet where I get that, so stand by, viewers! We are in the 12 Aquari system. Aquari, I don't know. 12AQUARII. Now, B1 is a metal-rich body that drops technetium at a 1.2% concentration. I have seen planets on EDDB.io on the planetary body search tool that drop 1.3%, but they're pretty far away. This was the closest planet to me with a low gravity field of 0.4 Gs that had the concentration of technetium that was relatively high. So let's take a look at the planetary map, because I have a favorite spot to hit these things up. Now, my preferred location for finding technetium on this planet is on this nice little duck shape. See, it's like a little duck. It looks like a little duck. It's a little duck. Anyway, go to this little duck here, and go down its neck, and then along its body, and where its imaginary little wings. Oh, you see little wings sticking out on its booty? So anyway, you go to the duck, and you go get your technetium from the duck, on the duck planet of duckiness. When you get your technetium. Anyway, if you get lost or you stop getting technetium or having trouble finding it, just make sure you're actually on this spot. Now, this planet is not tidally locked, so it does rotate, so sometimes this might be in the dark, sometimes it might be in the light. Some of these other dark spots might be flat, but I wouldn't count on it. This is probably the flattest spot I personally have found so far that is in a dark spot on the planet, so keep that in mind. As far as power transfer buses, Haganir Orbital and the Wuthatwu, god damn it, game. Screw it, I'll check my blueprints. Or bookmarks, I should say. Power transfer bus, Karka system. At Chandler Ring, there you go. Power transfer bus, Karka, Chandler Ring. Karka, at the first station in the system. There you go. Now that we got that out of the way, I have 59 more rolls, because I am crazy and awesome and amazing. I actually have extra technetium left over. Don't know if I'll need it, and I hope to God I don't. Because after this, I'll only have enough for 4 more rolls after I go get precipitated alloys, configurable components, and power transfer buses again. So I'm hoping it doesn't come to that. So let's do another roll and see if we can max this guy out, and then, yeah, do some more rolls on some other stuff, and then I'll get back to you guys. Oh, there we go. Alright, I don't want to waste any more materials, so this is the roll we're going to have to take. Lose a little bit of our armor piercing, but I'm not terribly concerned about it. And my secondary effect is a mass reduction. Really, game? Whatever. Okay, so let's take a look at the experimental effects. Concordant sequence will apply a regeneration effect to your wingmate's shield. If you shoot them once, they will get a bonus to the regen rate on their shields. If you shoot them more times, their shields will actually start regenerating from the energy applied from your lasers. However, the side effect is they get heat generation. After that is thermal shock. It spreads heat on the target. Kind of nerfed now. You can do heat damage if you plan on using this in PvP, but could technically not be as useful as it was before. Scramble spectrum. You have to hit the hull for this to happen, but it will randomly trigger malfunctions on the target, so keep that in mind. Emissive munitions causes strike to envelop the target in energetic particles, significantly amplifying its signature at the cost of increasing the heat generation for the attacker. So you shoot them, you get hot, and they become easier to see, I guess. PvP, that's probably about it if they're using a silent and running fit. However, personally, I'm going to be running phasing sequence. Another one you could technically run is concordant sequence if you want one laser with that, and the other ones if you have like beam lasers to like regenerate shields. But honestly, I think out of all of these, phasing sequence is probably the most useful. The downside is you do get a damage reduction, so a small amount of damage that's able to bleed through shields and attack the target's hull directly at the cost of minor damage reduction. So if we look at our roll beforehand, our damage is currently 7.71 after this roll, alright? 7.71, keep that in mind. We're going to see exactly how much damage we lose from phasing sequence. 7.71, we're going to apply phasing sequence. And now the damage is 6.9, so quite a bit of a reduction of damage. But keep in mind, we're going damage per second. It was 21.7, now it's 31.7. So that's an additional 10 damage per second due to the increase of the fire rate. Now, normal fire rate is about 2.8, and we're at about 4.6. So we got a 64.4% bonus. And the maximum on the roll, theoretically, is around 66, so I think we did pretty good. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and blaze through the rest of these upgrades, and we'll see what we get on the rest of them. So I'll be back in a moment, viewers. Okay, I am officially out of materials completely and fully, to a certain extent, I believe. Anyway, we've got two Class 4 gimbaled phasing sequence rapid-fire modification pulse lasers. So one of them does 33.3 DPS, a 0.79 megawatt distributor draw. This one has a 0.85, so the damage in between these two is very close. This one has a little bit higher damage and a little bit higher armor piercing. I got really lucky with the roll. This is probably the best pulse laser I have. So damage per second went from 21.7 to 33.3 with a 53.5% bonus of damage per second. Our damage went from 7.8 down to 7.2, so not a huge decrease, but that's mainly because of the phasing sequence. Our distributor draw went from 1.56 megawatts down to 0.79. That's an almost 50% decrease in distributor draw. That is awesome. Armor piercing went from 65 to 84. That's a 29.4% bonus to armor piercing. And rate of fire went from 2.8 shots per second to 4.6 shots per second. Not quite double, but it's close. So we got a 65.7% bonus to rate of fire. And that's on a Class 4 pulse laser. That's awesome. Now we did get quite a bit of jitter, almost maxed out on the jitter rate, but I'm not really worried about it because it's gimbaled anywhere and it's going to be flying all over the place. Anyway, yeah, they're a Class 4 pulse laser. We got a mass reduction on it, which I was like, what? Which, cool, I guess, but I really don't care. I rather would have gotten a damage bonus or a fire rate bonus. We got a 21.7 base, and now it's 31.7 damage per second, so that's a 45.8% increase. Distributor draw went from 1.56 to 0.85. That's a 45.7% reduction, so not as good as the other one, but still really good. Armor piercing went from 65 to 76, that's a 16.5% bonus to armor piercing, and rate of fire went from 2.8 to 4.6. Moving down the line, we have two large gimbaled... Oh wait, no, there's one. There's the other one. Okay, yes. Two large gimbaled pulse lasers with rapid fire modification and phasing sequence. These ones are almost exactly identical, so we're not even going to look at the stats on those because the armor piercing is like 2 points higher on that one and 1 point lower on the distributor draw in between those. These are going to be used for a myriad of ships, as well as something like a Vulture with dual phasing sequence pulse lasers that aren't very heavy on distributor draw. Yes, please. After that, we have... Yes. We have 4 Class 2 gimbal pulse lasers, so I can use these on a myriad of ships. So in between all of these, they're pretty much identical for the most part, but let's look at the one that actually does 14.1 damage per second. So this one went from 9.6 DPS to 14.1 DPS. That is a 46.9% increase. Our distributor draw went from 0.54 to 0.29. That's a 47.2% decrease in distributor draw. That is almost maxed out. Our damage went from 2.7 per shot down to 2.4, but keep in mind we're firing faster, and that's the point. Our armor piercing went from 35 to 45, so that's a 29% increase, and our rate of fire went from 3.6 to 5.9. That is a 64% increase in rate of fire. Maximum increase is around 66, I think, 66%, or 66% bonus to rate of fire. So almost maxed out on everything on that pulse laser. Moving on down to the bottom, we've got 2 Class 1 gimbal pulse lasers with modifications. These are almost identically similar. So let's take a look at this one because it does more damage. This one went from 6.2 damage per second up to 8.9, an increase of 41.8%. The damage went from 1.6 to 1.4, a minuscule loss of 7.6%. Distributor draw went from 0.31 to 0.18. That's a 41.8% decrease in distributor draw, making it much less energy hungry per shot. Armor piercing went from 20 to 24. That's a 19.4% increase, and rate of fire went from 4 to 6.1. That's a 53.5% rate of fire increase. That is awesome. I cannot wait to test these out. So let's throw them on this ship. It doesn't have the best power distributor, but we can at least see them in action. Okay, so this ship doesn't have the best, power plant, so as soon as I activate this stuff, it's going to turn off a bunch of stuff, so stand by.
Power plant capacity exceeded.
This is the too small. This is how fast they're going to shoot. Let's put everything into weapons. Okay, that's kind of awesome. Oh wait, I'm in the no-fire zone. Good job, Minnie. Let's get out of 5 kilometers. There we go.
Flight control now offline. Goodbye, Commander.
Okay, that's too small. These are the 2 mediums. That's awesome. I love this. All right, 2 large. And 1 huge. Can I shoot everything together? I'm gonna drain my capacitor like crazy. Wait till it recharges. This is not a charge enhanced power distributor. This is a charge capacity power distributor. So don't let that throw you off. That's freaking terrifying. I can't wait to use these. Oh my god. That's freaking evil. Look at that. And my heat production, granted, since I'm not able to fire for very long with this particular power distributor, isn't very long, but I mean, I can shoot my little ones all the time. That's cool, I guess. But I'm not planning on having a battle anaconda anyway. This is my A to B, move lots of cargo, get lots of materials, hold lots of weapons, hold lots of utility mount stuff. Ship. It is not built for pretty much anything except for moving from A to B and putting weapons on it to upgrade it, because it holds everything. That's just awesome. Okay, I'm done. Anyway, Commanders, I hope you did like the video. If you did, like the video and feel free to subscribe. This is Mini for Elite Dangerous Tips and Tricks. We'll see you in the next episode. Until then, this is Mini, signing out.